Hello, hello, all my beautiful and leading ladies. I'm Antoinette Mescott here with my co-host, Renee L. Page.
Hello, hello, leading ladies. Hello.
This week we have Dr. Marissa. Dr. Marissa, for those of you that don't know, is a motivational speaker and a podcast host as well, who has interviewed lots of celebs and has written a book and came up with the 3 Ps during the pandemic. Post-pandemic possibilities. Welcome to our show, Dr. Marissa.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here. Nice to meet you, Antoinette, and always good to see you, Renee.
So if we can start with a few rapid fire questions, just, to get to know you a little bit. And the first one, and you're not allowed to say your book. What's your favorite book?
You took my answer. I would have to say my favorite book is The 4 Agreements. So,
oh my gosh, everyone keeps saying that.
Oh, really?
Well,
yes. I'll have to let him know. He'll like that. I actually am a friend of his, and I got to interview him several times, and he's an amazing man. I actually adapted the 4 Agreements to kids. So that's part of my balanced parenting program, which I actually talked about today on the show.
On your podcast.
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Everyone, all of our leading ladies recommend that book coupled with The Secret.
Mm-hmm.
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 And just so you know, one of the teachers, I've interviewed several of the teachers on The Secret, Neil Donald Walsh,
oh my gosh,
who actually gave the back cover endorsement. Neil Donald Walsh says about 8 Ways to Happiness, wonderfully written, easy and fun to read. It's packed with great insights. If you feel unhappy more than you'd like, this is exactly the right book. I'm so glad you found it. Neil Donald Walsh, New York Times bestselling author of Conversations with God.
So I love the fact that you have action tools in here. So when I got the book from you, I have a journal that I actually got and that I started, instead of messing my book up, I put it in my journal and answered the questions.
That's fantastic. And we said we weren't going to talk about my book yet, but hey.
No, not yet. You weren't allowed to say that was your favorite.
Was your favorite book?
I've also had Lisa Nichols on my show, who's one of the teachers as well.
Yes.
And my favorite teacher, of course, is my big brother. He calls me his little sister, and that's Michael Bernard Beckwith, who is also in The Secret. And he is the one who dubbed me the Asian Oprah. And he introduced me to his friend Oprah at Agape and said, this is the one they call the Asian Oprah.
Wow.
So that's how I got the moniker. People think that I called myself the Asian Oprah, which is totally not true. In fact, I was introduced as the Asian Oprah at the 2012 Asian Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, which I won that year. And they brought me up as the Asian Oprah. And I was shocked.
Is that hard to stomach? Is that hard
I was like,
I can't be compared with Oprah.
That's right. And then a few years later, someone else said, this is the Asian Oprah, introduced me. And I'm like, and the voice stopped me. And then when Michael introduced me, that was the permission that I really wasn't looking for, but the strength to say, this is a compliment and I'm going to take it as such. And it's an honorable moniker. And I have great respect and credit her with bringing the whole spiritual conversation into mainstream. Because if you think about it, talk show hosts before Oprah always, I would say always, actually, that's an accurate statement. Maury Povich, all the shock talk hosts who would encourage the worst in people. and they would encourage the conflict and they would encourage the drama. And I think Oprah was the first one who brought forth the best in people and brought forth conversation to talk about what life and love and happiness is all about. So that component of spirituality, I believe she started that. So it's such an honor to be called the Asian Oprah. And then I had...
Was it hard for you to accept the compliment when, because I know for a lot of us, like that's, you know, we got to get to a point where you feel comfortable.
Right. Then I got comfortable. And then I had another group of people say, you shouldn't use that, not because you're not like Oprah or your message isn't like, but you don't need to do that because you're Dr. Marissa and you are credible and important and of value without linking yourself to Oprah. And my response was and is, thank you for your compliment in that comment. I appreciate your care in how I am branding. However, if you look at my red carpet playlist of the people that I've gotten to interview, so when I'm in front of Halle Berry or John Travolta, and I say, this is Dr. Marissa reporting live, they don't know who I am. They've never heard of me. But when I say, this is Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah, they laugh.
It perks their attention. They're like, oh, wait, what did you say?
And it completely sets the frame and the energy and the vibration for fun.
That's lovely.
And for conversation and for good feelings. So I am very cognizant of my use of my honorable moniker now.
Okay, next. What's the first thing you do every morning?
Breathe.
We heard that before.
I breathe and then I take a bite of my gratitude sandwich. So every day I just start the day with 8 specific things that I'm grateful for. That's the top of the bun. And every night I end it with 8 things that I appreciate about myself. And that holds my day in the best possible way.
Wow.
So kind of like morning affirmations, you do abundance in the evenings?
No, appreciation.
Appreciation.
So normally, last thing you do if you lay your head down, you start thinking, what did I forget to do? What didn't I get done? Who interrupted me? Who insulted me? How dare they? And why can't this person just get with the program? And it's no wonder we have problems sleeping if that's the last thing on your mind. So I hashtag Blisscipline myself and developed a habit to work my muscle of self-soothing. If we all were better soothers of ourselves and knew that 88% of the time we do really well, then we wouldn't be walking around with little antenna all day going, who likes me, who approves of me, who respects me, who's not complimenting me, who should be complimenting me, how many likes did I get, how many comments, all of that bullshitaki that is getting in the way of our happiness would go away if we, at the end of the day, had 8 nice things to say about ourselves. I didn't flip that person off on the freeway when I wanted to. I was nice to this person. I called this person even though I didn't want to. I complimented this person even though I didn't want to. Those count for 2. So compliments are good, but if you really didn't want to do it and you did it anyways, that counts for 2.
Okay. I always feel like I love to give compliments and I try to give them as often as I can. And sometimes I feel like, oh, is this the right moment? Is this the right person? And I hesitate.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I then practice what I call drive-by compliments. Drive-by compliments, you compliment someone and you don't stop to see the reaction. You do it on the fly as you drive by. And that way you're just doing it because you want to give the compliment and it makes you feel good. right? It's a selfish compliment.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can
So then
do
you don't
that
have to worry about it.
easy now.
Yeah. And you can call in every Tuesdays and Thursdays on my show. Take my advice on not using it. Get balance with Dr.
Yes.
Marissa. The morning show is compliment and color day. So I'll expect you to call in and give someone a compliment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
something I
I
love
give them
about
out. Yesterday, someone came and knocked on the door and, soliciting and stuff. And she looked super cute. She had cute purple hair and a little flower in her hair. And she was just blown away. She was like, oh, I didn't expect anyone to say anything nice to me, knocking on doors and asking, for their time.
Yeah.
Now, so I know you're busy, Dr. Marissa. What stops you from hitting the snooze button and saying, I'm going to get 10 more minutes? Because I hit the snooze button. So what stops you from hitting the snooze button and getting up and breathing and then eating your gratification sandwich? What stops you from hitting that snooze button?
As far as I know, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get a do-over unless you're Shirley MacLaine. And there's only so many waking hours in a day that I don't want even 10 minutes to go to waste. And y'all know when you try to go back to sleep, you ain't going to be asleep. And then the mind starts going and the critical thinking starts, and it's not even good sleep because you don't fall back asleep. So it's my choice, which is my most powerful tool as a human being, choice. It's not the C word, it's the CH word, to decide that I'm just going to get up and I'm going to juice my life. I am going to squeeze every possible beautiful thing out of every moment of the day. And I did this years ago. I would calculate about how many days of my life I had left, right? Based on the average, years that people live. But now if I do
Life
it,
expectancy.
yeah, now if I do it, you can figure out how old I am, and I'm ageless. So we're not going to do that anymore. But it's a finite number.
You're a vampire.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Besides your podcast, what's your favorite one that you listen to?
I'll be listening to Leading Ladies when I'm on. No.
I would have
How's that for an answer? To be honest, I don't listen to any regular podcasts,
Okay.
but I do listen all the time to excerpts from her talks, and that is Esther Hicks with the Law of Attraction. Abraham
Oh my
teaches.
gosh.
So
Someone just
I
said that.
listen to that over and over when I'm in the car. That's all I listen to. I try not to talk on the phone anymore. I just listen and affirm and milk it and receive it so that I am absolutely steeped in the teachings of Abraham.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
Someone just said that.
Yeah, we've had another leading lady.
It's a law of attraction. It works whether you believe in it or not. It's like gravity. And, when you all know it works, because every time you go to buy a car and you think about what car you're considering, all of a sudden you see that car all over the freeway.
Yes.
So did
Yes.
someone get a memo and rip off your idea and go and get the car? No. What you think about grows bigger. What you think about exponentializes. So that's the law of attraction. Now it's impersonal. If you think of something bad, more bad will come to help you feel bad, and more good the other way. So it is a law that is just like physics. So I know that my choice every moment is to try to pick the best feeling thought. And that's another self-care tip. That would be my number 2. In every single moment, I want to choose the best feeling thought. If I'm thinking something and it makes me feel bad, I try to move off that topic as quickly as possible. 16 seconds.
Whoa.
Oh.
You sound very evolved.
Oh, I'll take that. I don't think I've ever been called evolved, but better
But how did
evolved
you-
than involved.
But how did you get to this point, Dr. Marissa? Because I know your background, you're a psychologist. And if I can ask, I mean, how did you get to this point? Did you go through something and you just say, you know what? I've been through this experience. I choose to be happy. And this is what I'm going to do. So did you have to go through something to get to this place?
Yes. So if you had a chance to watch the Women's History Month special that Fox 5 News did on me in Washington, D.C., I'm very open about the fact that I'm one of the 7 out of 10 of us who've had childhood trauma. That's a lot of people. You know,
I would think it was
honorable
10 out of 10.
That's what some psychologists are saying, is that it's 93%. But 7 out of 10 is the one that I go with. My honorable moniker says as high as 8 out of 10. And we're the majority. So the first question that always comes to my mind is, if we're the majority that have gone through childhood trauma, why do we think there's something wrong with us? Why do we think that we'll never get ahead? Why do we think that we're not be good enough? Why do we think we've got to catch up? Why do we think we need to be fixed? When the reality is, if it's the majority of us, there's got to be another reason for all of the shiitake that has happened to us to happen. And the bottom line is, it's not what happened to me, it's what happened for me. And all of us have had some kind of something that happened for us. And the trick is to see it as something that chiseled us into greater and greater good so that we can choose that happiness. So some people will say, you know, why do bad things happen to good people? For me, that sets this up of, if bad things happen to me, there's something wrong with me, and or I'm being punished. And that has been, you know, heightened. Religions use that as a tool to make you feel bad, the vengeful God, the hell and brimstones, being punished. And that is all man's interpretation in order to try to control each other. And when I realized that even the American dream was an effort to try to make me feel bad if I didn't have the best degree or the best school or the best job, or if I wasn't getting ahead, if I didn't have a house, if I didn't have a car, all of these external limitations that were there to make me feel bad about who I was is BS. It's a belief system that keeps us all in this tense, ground up, striving, never good enough. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when.
But we're taught that from an early age, aren't we?
Exactly.
And society is like, oh, if you live in this house, if you drive this car, if you wear these clothes.
But the last time I looked, there was no gun to my head to adopt that BS. We tend to be a little lazy when it comes to exercising our God-given, world-given right to choose what we want and to call the BS. It is our, you know, you can't blame the media for showing horror, and if it bleeds, it leads, because we don't choose to turn the TV off. We choose to turn to the channel that has the most drama. We choose to talk about the K word. On my show, there's no gossip, there's no scandal, and there's no K words. No Kanye talk at all. Who cares? But how many of us, the majority, will watch something, click on something, scroll through something, talk about it, get all this momentum going with other people talking about things that don't mean anything. That is on the buck stops right over here. We do that. We choose to do that. So I tell the 7 out of 10 of us that you can spend the rest of your life, and I am answering your question. It's coming right now.
I know. I'm like, how do I get rid of it? How do I stop?
I spent most of my life blaming my mom for calling me fat, ugly, and clumsy, and making me feel like a piece of shiitake and hurting me physically. Now, I could not control what happened to me as a child. I didn't have a choice. And yes, mothers should not do that. Parents should not, children should not be hurt. Right? But guess what? 7 out of 10 of us have that story. So do
you think it's generational? Because the traumas that we went through in our generation now, like the millennials are going through a different kind of.
We don't give limits at all. We've gone from one extreme to to the other extreme. So again, at what point do you stop blaming other people?
What's the answer to that?
That's the answer to your question. What happened? I got tired of blaming other people because I have every right to blame my mother. I have every right to blame my husband. Very common for children with childhood trauma to select people to marry who treat them the same way. He didn't physically abuse me, but he would introduce me as obese to his friends behind my back when I was thinner than I am now. I chose a man who made me feel as insignificant as I felt growing up. Very common, very common. So the good news is I divorced him when I healed enough to say that is not who I am. I am not my childhood experiences, and I am no longer going to take my childhood as an excuse to have a shirty life. I don't know if I'm an FCC show, so I'm not allowed to swear, but I don't know about your podcast. That's why I said shirty.
You can say it.
Yeah.
You can say it.
You want me to say it for you? Can't put up with
shiitake. I love that. That's so unique.
Thank you. That is so the ticket. And that's my work. That's my job, because I am one of the 7 out of 10, because I've gotten to the point where I know beyond a shadow of doubt that all of us have a birthright to be happy 88% of the time. That's my mission. It's to take what I know because of what I'm experienced. Now, a disclaimer, as a psychologist, and I'm actually not a clinical psychologist, my PhD is in organizational psychology. I made a conscious decision not to go into clinical because I don't believe that it's going to take you a lifetime of therapy to be happy. So I became an organizational
everyone should be in therapy at some point. What are your thoughts? Should we all be in therapy? Because if 7 out of 10 of us have childhood trauma and other things that we're going through, should we not be seeking help?
Yes, but it doesn't have to always be 10 years of therapy. So I think that there's many advances that we've made. My program I have an 8-week program and an 8-month program. If I can't help you in a year, then I'm not doing something correct. So that's the other thing that I've learned. I had decades of dis-ease with my life. I had decades of hating. I had decades of resentment. I had decades of trying to make myself feel happy by performing and getting awards and getting accolades and being on a pedestal, and it did not work. Look at Anthony Bourdain. Look at Kate Spade. Look at Robin Williams, people
Yeah.
who, by the definition of American dream, by the definition of what we're supposed to, fame and fortune, you're supposed to be happy.
Mhm.
So there is absolutely I am so grateful. I don't regret one thing. I don't regret what happened to me as a child. I don't regret what happened to me as an adult. I don't regret the millions of dollars that I lost through the divorce, because it all shaped who I am today. And 88% of the time, I'm pretty good shit. I'm not, I grew up thinking I was a piece of shit because of what happened to me.
Right.
And then I had moments in those performances and achieving things that I thought I was hot shit. But and then I would swing between piece of shit, hot shit, piece of shit, hot shit. And it's very tiring.
It's a roller coaster.
It is. But the great news is that everybody is not a piece of shit, not hot shit, just pretty good shit.
But you know what I learned that, and I think I went through it, that especially with women, that we always feel like we're not good enough. We're not, like, we're always trying to strive for this because we always feel that we're not good enough, that we're not. And if we just accept us for who we are, it's like, I'm good enough. I'm good shit. I'm the shit,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we always have to get affirmation for someone else instead of giving it to ourselves. Like, Renee, you're the shit.
Yeah.
And I
Why
think
do you think that's the bottom of the gratitude sandwich?
Oh, so I might eat that sandwich before I go to work today. But I'm just saying, but that's the issue, especially with young women, that they never feel like I'm not enough.
Mhm.
And I think that was me, because I always felt like I had to be enough. I had to go to nursing school. I had to go to law school. I had to do this to feel like I was enough.
Mhm.
But it's like, am I doing it for me, or is it I'm doing it because I'm trying to prove that I'm good enough?
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's the struggle, especially with young women that coming behind us, they struggle with.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can be organic also. It could be here. Because you said you're not clinical, but sometimes you have to tap into the clinical and maybe give medication, but I'm not for medication. But it's just that balance between clinical and talking to someone. But we all, as women, at some point in our lives, suffer for I'm not enough or I'm not good enough.
Right.
Mhm. I have a Happy 88 tool called Have a Guy Day, and it illustrates the differences between men and women on this very issue. That many women are very, very hard on themselves. They never think they're thin enough. They're not smart enough. They're not accomplished enough. Okay. And
Attractive enough.
And then men, on the other hand, not all men, but many men think they are better looking, more buff, and have more hair than they actually do.
Or more, or more.
Or more endowed.
And then they actually are.
So that points to a genetic difference. And people, actually had a guest who disagreed with that. That's the first one that's ever disagreed with me. But she must not go to the gym and watch men and women walk in front of a mirror. You watch a woman walk in front of the floor to ceiling mirrors, and they'll look at themselves and they'll go like this most of the time. They'll look down and walk away from the mirror. Most men look in the mirror, stop, pose,
and then they have the phone.
Yes. So there's got to be a genetic difference there. It is also your upbringing, is also, but here's what's interesting. I'm glad you raised this point, Renee. I love to do career days. And so I started when my daughters were young, and I would always ask the question as like an experiment. Do you have a voice in your head that says you're not good enough, that you're not that pretty, you're not as pretty as the other person, and all that? And even kids who have not had childhood trauma, around the age of 10, would begin to raise their hands. Now I think it's maybe even 8. It's, depending on the exposure.
Whoa.
When you're 5 and 6 and you're playing like life is a playground, you don't have that voice. So who knows?
No, but I did think that boys were cute when I was 4.
Yeah, but I don't think that you thought that you were not cute when you were 4. That's the point.
Oh, I thought I was ugly
because
at 4.
there was a girl that they called us twins because we both had blonde hair, and I thought she was gorgeous, and I was like, well, if you're calling me a twin and I look like her, I was like,
okay. So maybe you it started earlier.
I thought I was ugly. I thought my teeth was too big.
At the age of 4?
As I started to recognize myself, but I just thought my teeth was too big. You know how you take those childhood pictures and your parents put the ponytails and you look at the picture and your teeth, your top teeth look like rabbit teeth. That's what I thought of myself. Like,
but
I'm being honest.
We all have the awkward stage.
Yeah.
Right.
But my point is that you didn't feel that comparison or that way until you were a little older. As children,
the boys didn't like me back.
Children know how beautiful they are. Children know that they're here to play in life. Children know that you're supposed to be happy most of the time. Children know that they have a connection to the earth and the world. We train ourselves to separate from that beautiful truth around the age between 8 and 10. So is it taught to us? Is it taught to us at home? Is it taught to us at school? I don't really care to spend too much time looking at the origins. It's more important to me that you develop the habit of knowing who you really are. That all 7.3 billion of us on the planet are loving, lovable, and loved. That we all have a unique talent, gift, and ability to share in this life. That all of our experiences that have happened to us are here to expand and grow us to the magnificent, amazing, wrapped in a warm blanket of worthiness individuals that we are. That's the most important thing. And that my work is to help you identify BS, belief systems, habits that keep you from knowing the truth of who you are.
Belief systems. That's what BS stands for.
That's what BS stands for.
So when somebody says every day, oh, you're full of BS, I can just say that.
Belief systems.
Belief system. I like it.
Thank you.
Well, how do we move past that though? Like, how do we accept that we are who we are? Or a lot of people don't even know who they are. Like for me, I stopped doing having hobbies because it wasn't cool. Oh, well, I didn't have enough time to read it.
But you will. Honestly, this is not the only way, but certainly it is my way. If you've resonated with anything that I've said, if you're one of the 7 out of 10, what happens is there's exercises that Renee was talking about that she does. And I promise if you do all the exercises, you will never hate yourself the same way again. That's the work. And
what happened? I don't have this book yet, Renee.
Because you don't listen to me. That's why.
But it's go ahead.
No, I try to kick you to gems and tell you, and this is part about.
I got to get through The Secret first, and then I'm moving on to Dr. Marissa's, and then the 4 Agreements.
Well, actually, this was one of my first books before The Secret. So I'm gonna be
I gotta
fair.
catch up.
Right. So to be fair, Antoinette, I have to add that this was before The Secrets. This was actually before the 12 weeks. So it's part of my book club. So I usually get Audible as well as paperback.
And I gifted you an Audible.
You did.
I did.
Oh,
yes.
How sweet.
So you can share it with Antoinette.
I will. That'll be her homework.
Yeah.
I have
Sounds
homework.
Good. Sounds good. But seriously,
Well, did you always want to go into psychology, or is that something you found later in life?
Let me finish answering the question before, because
okay.
it sounds, I'm going to get accused of being so self-promoting with the book.
Oh,
But
go for it.
honestly,
No, I want to hear.
the book is my, it's not a psychologist telling you how to be happy. It is a personal experience turned into tools to help you move past your emotional baggage so you can drop it off and unpack it and just do carry-on size instead of the oversized. All right. So
Okay.
I
I
actually
need
wanted
that.
to be a doctor because, as you can tell, I know you thought I was Swedish, but I'm actually Chinese, and all Chinese parents want kids to be doctors or lawyers. So I actually was going to make my parents happy and become a medical doctor. I was dating a guy who got lymphoma, and I spent the first quarter of my first year in college in the hospital watching him die.
Wow.
And during that time, I said, you know what? I do not want to work in a hospital. I don't want to be a doctor, but I'm fascinated by the mind and how it can affect your medical condition. And so I went in, my major went from biology to psychology. It was my favorite elective. And I originally wanted to be a criminal, a criminal lawyer.
Defense attorney.
Right. And then I saw And Justice for All with Al Pacino. I know I'm dating myself. And the only kind of law I was interested in was criminal law. And I could not get past having to defend someone who's guilty. So that went, so that's why I ended up as a psychologist. And then as a clinical, I was, my first master's was actually in clinical psychology. And then I met someone, I was accepted at UCLA in the clinical PhD program. That would have been a great in. And I met someone who went to McMaster, my alma mater in Canada, who said they were in their 7th year in grad school and still had not done 1 hour of practicum work. And I said, I cannot do that. I hate research. I've always hated research. I want to do hands-on. And so that's what made me switch to organizational psychology, which is a combination of business, human dynamics at work, and psychology. And that brought me to the world of executive coaching, which brought me to the world of coaching, and leadership, communication, teamwork, all of those things that are very highly related to humans, relationships, no matter where you are. And in work, people want work to run like a well-oiled machine. And I work with all my leaders and say, you can want a well-oiled machine, but you'll never get it because you have human beings at work and you cannot leave your humanness at home and just come professional. It's all one personal. So if you want to get things done, the top half are tasks, the bottom half are relationships. You cannot get the work done unless you have the relationships to support them. So this is my work in the organization, which I love to do as well, and bring more joy, less stress at work.
Well, I'm gonna get Kaiser to hire you.
Well, I actually, Kaiser is one of my clients, and I've done value and diversity work with the Oakland group.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can bring me down here.
Yeah, I will.
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm part of like co-chair, so you will be in.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, if we can jump to the podcast a little bit, how did you come up with the idea to start doing a podcast out of all of your knowledge?
I am a retired professor. I taught at Boston University, European Business School, and at the Anderson Graduate School of Management at UCLA. I was teaching my class, I believe it was on managerial interpersonal communication. And one of my students came up to me after class and said, Dr. Pei, your talents are being wasted. You're a great professor. They likened me to Robin Williams in the Dead Poets Society because I would get very animated when I taught and jump on tables and all of that. And I love teaching. And he said, "You really belong in front of the camera." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "My father just happens to be a producer, and he's putting together some expert commentary on things." I think that one was the ABC Totally Out of Control People. And would you talk to him? So that began my work in front of a camera. And I did Busted on the Job with Fox, Nostradamus, a scientific inquiry that they sometimes still play. And people will say, "You were in my bedroom Saturday morning at the replay." So a number of those specials is what I did. And so I was loving it. I loved it. As you can tell, I'm very shy. Sarcasm is another service I offer.
Yeah.
And so,
You have a book on sarcasm?
Yes, I love sarcasm. So I began doing that work and happily doing that work. And I woke up one morning and the voice said, "Radio." And I'm like, "Radio? Why would I want to do radio?" And the voice said, "Radio." And I went, "It's 4:30 in the morning. Can we talk about this later?" And the voice said, "Radio." And I had only one experience before that with the voice, or two, where I believe that there's something greater than me. And I choose to call that my UPS man, my universal power source, who delivers every morning when I pray and meditate. God, the G word, has lots of religious connotations, and I'm allergic to religion. So I call myself a spiritual person. And when that voice talks, I listen, because I know it's not coming from me. It's not like, "Oh, I woke up with a great idea for radio." So the voice was so insistent that I went to my computer and I sat down, and in 44 minutes, I wrote an entire manifesto, the name of the show, take my advice, I'm not using it, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. I wrote the format of the show. I did a business plan for the show. I made a guest list for the show, and I've had every single person on the show that I had on my original guest list, with the exception of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that I started explaining to you. And the following week, I just happened to see a notice for Universal Broadcasting Network looking for hosts. Had the talk with Tony Sweet, and I was on May 1st, 2012. So now I'm 658 shows in, 516 consecutive weeks, almost to my 9th year. I won the 2016 Podcast of the Year Top 10 in Health Award out of 440,000 podcasts and 100 million downloads. I'm syndicated on NBC News Radio. I have a 1.7 Nielsen rating because I just got promoted to the morning show, which means on my AM FM channel, I have anywhere from 160,000 listeners to over 600,000 for the hour. I'm on every major platform there is. I have almost 250,000 views on my YouTube channel, and that was never my idea. Never my idea.
Now, you know what it reminds me of, Dr. Marissa? Do you remember the motivational speaker, Les Brown?
Yes.
Remember, that's how his journey started, where he used to wash clothes, and his motto was providing more service than paid. And he actually got his shot working at the radio station. And then one day he took that opportunity and he just became a disc jockey. And his thing is, when that voice says go, you go. You don't ask questions, you just do it, just go. And that sounds like the same thing that you're saying. And that was by Les Brown. Mm-hmm. That's what it reminded me of.
And we are in the same circles. I'm actually I have his son will text me every once in a while. Yeah, but yes. You're absolutely right. In fact, this book came out of that voice. I never intended to write the book. Okay, I knew at some point I would probably write a book, but I lost a $200,000 consulting project with a very big client. I had the contract unexecuted in the garage. I was downstairs. I got the call and they said, I'm sorry, your $200,000 is not going to happen because your sponsoring executive just got canned. And I went, okay, thank you. Hung up the phone. I allowed myself 16 seconds of anger and disappointment and frustration and stomped my feet and did my silent scream, and because I can't hurt my voice, and jumped up and down. And then my discipline is, I can't wait to see what good comes out of this.
Yes.
I said it. The voice said, write. I said, I don't have time to write. And the voice said, you do now. He has a sense of humor. So
just like you.
I sat down for 1 week and disciplined myself to sit down. As soon as I did my meditation, I sat at the computer and began to write. I wrote for 1 solid week. I believe that it was written through me because there were concepts in there that I'd never used before. I wrote for 1 week. I finished on Sunday night at about 8:00. I didn't know what to do with it. I was going to go to bed. I swear to God, on Monday morning, I opened my email and there was a West Coast publisher that emailed and said, we follow motivational speakers on LinkedIn. We like your message. Have you written anything lately? Wow. I'm like, are you forking kidding me? Wow. I wrote back and said, I just happened to finish the first 2 chapters of my book. The first chapter is Out of Loneliness into Hope. And the last chapter is out of control into happiness. I sent it to him. The following day, he sent back a contract. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I didn't go with them because I wanted a more traditional East Coast publisher because that's where everything starts. So I interviewed got 3 book offers by all 3 and went with the one, Morgan James, because part proceeds from the book go to Habitat for Humanity. So I wanted that deal, published the book, hit 8 bestseller lists. First day hit number 6 on happiness and number 8 on success, beating the 4 agreements just that day, and beating the 7 habits of highly effective people just that day. And then hit number 1 on Amazon, which is kind of ironic, in a major category, not a minor category that a lot of people are doing, saying they're bestsellers, but it's in a very, very small category. I'm very grateful. It's self-help, Christian self-help is the category. And then number 4 on Denver Post, 4 book medals. And I'm now well over the lifetime average of books sold, which is, I'm so grateful for.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
God, Dr. Marissa.
But it's all because I just followed direction.
You listen to your intuitive voice in your head.
I listen to a friendly universe. That voice is representative of a friendly universe is not a vengeful God, that is not a punishing God, that wants the best for us, always. It's always saying, come over here in the sunlight, come over here, come over here. Don't be thinking that stuff. You can think that stuff if you want, but you're not going to be happy. Come over here, come on. I think you're so beautiful. I think you're so wonderful. All the messages that we always have wanted are available to us if we turn to the light. And every time we don't have a good feeling, it's because we're not seeing that person, that situation, that whatever we're going through the same way as my UPS man or source or God or however you want to call that power outside of ourselves. friendly universe, whatever you want to call it. That is the truth about life. We're here to enjoy life. We're here to be happy 88% of the time. So I
88.
Okay.
I guess 12% is when you at work, right? The 12% is when you at work.
The 12% is when you're human.
Okay.
You've heard the expression, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We are all, picture this, we're all energy. We're all forever, eternal, energetic beings. We know that when people die and come back, they all say it's beautiful, it's light, it's warmth, it's love, it's music. Okay, that's eternal energy. That's where we come from. We're all lined up, just like Legoland or Disneyland. You know, when you have to get in line and the ride's coming up, and we all get on because we want to experience contrast. Because where we come from, there's no contrast. There's no unhappy, happy. We're just all good all the time. And we want to experience expansion and growth. How do we do that? We have challenges. That's how you expand and grow. You don't expand and grow because everything's good, right? So we get on the ride and we start through this thing called the joyride of life. And there's so many stops. And a lot of the stops don't feel good, but something good always comes out of it. And that's life. That's this thing called life. That's why we're here. Many of us have forgotten that that's why we're here. I came this time because I wanted to experience power, personal power. I don't know how many times I've been here. I don't care. I know that I'm here now. And what better way to learn and experience power than to grow up in a family where I was completely powerless.
Wow.
Mm.
Is that where that deja vu is?
Could be. But you know,
I've interpreted deja vu lately to be this is your path and you're on the right track. So it could be as simple as like the door closing or something. And it's like, oh, that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. I'm here.
Whenever a UPS truck goes by me, I know that I'm on the right track. But you don't even need, you know, you have that internal sense of knowing. We all have that. We all have access to that, but we're so in our heads that we don't allow ourselves to be cued in. So let me talk about the secret for a second. The secret is very clear and focused on getting material things. If you can see it, you can have it, sit under a tree, visualize, do your vision boards and all that. Nothing wrong with that. However, it's missing the bigger picture point. The bigger picture point is that we're all connected to that power, all right? And we don't have to just limit ourselves to getting things. That adage that the joy is in the journey and the destination. That's my version of it. It's not, you know, success is in the journey, not the destination. It's the journey and the destination. But you spend more time in the journey, why not have a better time getting those things that you think you want, right? Than just focusing on materializing a car or a person. Because isn't life about the moment by moment feeling of creativity, of satisfaction, of inspiration, of respect, of innovation? That's what life is about. So if you're so focused on getting stuff or getting things or getting that person, you're missing the whole point of the getting. Because, you know, everybody wants something because they think, and this is Esther, this is Abraham, everybody wants something because they think in the having of it, they'll feel better. right?
It'll
You
make
want
them
that
happy.
dress because you think you're going to feel better when you're wearing it. You want that guy because you think you're going to feel better when you have a relationship. You want that house because you think that once you get it, you're going to feel better. How long does it take before you don't feel good when you have a new outfit on? An hour?
When you're trying it on,
An
you're
hour.
like, oh God,
Right.
that's not what
A
I.
new car. How long does
But it
that
comes
new
back
car
every
feel?
time you see yourself in the mirror. You're like, oh.
Yeah, but it
Okay.
doesn't last the next day. If you wear it the next day, if you even wear it the second time, you don't have that feeling. It's
But is
gone.
that not a female thing? I don't
Nope.
think guys have that.
Oh,
Oh, they do. Yeah.
They do?
When they
But-
get a car and they
Oh,
thought
well.
they wanted that Maserati, and then they
They
start
don't have
driving.
it about the dress. They definitely
Right.
don't have it about the dress.
Right,
Unless
right.
Or a
they're-
shirt or a tie or
or
their
things, Maserati,
jewelry.
right? And then
It
it's
doesn't
like,
matter.
yeah,
That's not the point. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter
sorry.
what it is. It
Mhm.
just matters that you equate the attaining of anything with happiness.
happiness.
Why can't you shortcut it and just choose to think about something that makes you feel good or be open to the inspiration? Everybody loves to solve a problem. That's all we're doing all day, every day.
Yeah.
So why can't we focus on the now and have a good time, whatever we're doing right now?
I'd like to not have to solve problems anymore.
But they're not but think of every single thing that comes at you is an opportunity to resolve. That's all problems are, is something that needs that is looking for resolution.
True.
That's all life is. It's a series, and problems are opportunities. I don't call problems because of all the heaviness that comes with that. They're all just opportunities for solution.
And either you have a solution or you don't.
Yeah. And don't have to worry about it either way.
Well, before we go, I do want to ask about who were your role models growing up or currently?
That's interesting. I get I don't have that mentality of, and maybe it's because I did not want to aspire to anyone or anything. I don't know. I get asked that question a lot, and I never have an answer for it.
Okay.
Because it was truly one of those. I had a lot of challenging opportunities. Not only was I in the experience at home, I was also raised in a very homogenous, non-diversity small town in Ontario, Canada. And so I was teased an awful lot, and I was called names, and I was, Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these. And I was, a guy would rode a bike past me on the way to high school and looked at me and said, ugly. And so my role models were internal FUs. So I was going to prove that I was not fat. I was going to prove, to my mom that I was not ugly. I was going to prove that. And so I had this internal role model that was not healthy because it was all about proving you wrong. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody's got
so
that.
it wasn't a very positive, I want to be like this person. It was, I don't want to be what I have been told I am.
Mm.
So it's called negative motivation instead of
Okay.
positive motivation. Yeah. And before we close, I do want to point out my nonprofit, because it is something
Yes.
so dear to me right now that if nothing else, and I've made it very easy to donate. You can ask Renee. You can get my children's book, Mommy, What Are Feelings? You can get the audio book. You can get numbers of things that helps my 8 Ways to Happiness nonprofit. It's a registered 501c. It's a hashtag COVID silver lining. I never had a chance to start the nonprofit, but COVID gave me some time. So anytime you shop on Amazon, and I know you do, if you go to Smile Amazon and put in 8 Ways to Happiness, then a small portion will go to my nonprofit. And the goal of 8 Ways to Happiness is to help kids, teens, and young adults who have temporarily forgotten their birthright to happiness. And that's what it's for. I've given away over 1,000 books now to help. The children's book, Mommy What Are Feelings, is really good for any organization that works with autism can ask for free books, and I will send them off. And so whatever help on that end you can do would be great.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can always work with me, drmarissa.life. I have a Get Happy orientation every last Wednesday of the month from 7 to 8 on Zoom. And I have an 8-week program, 8-month program. And every Tuesday and Thursday on the show, you can interact with me. So
what's the call-in number?
So the call-in number is 888-909-1050. So call after the news. The NBC News goes till 8:06. Call to pay a compliment, call to ask me a question every Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Wonderful. Is there any other things you want to cover, Renee, or you feel like you've asked? I feel like I've asked more.
But because I'm enjoying the conversation, but if you could change your career, what other career would you do? You had to
Well, I
change
have
it.
5 careers right now.
Oh.
So I'm a motivational speaker. I was actually speaking in China. I was 10 miles from Wuhan in November. I was on the last flight before they started taking temperatures. So I do international speaking as a motivational speaker. I'm an organizational psychologist. I work with companies on value and diversity, strategic planning, change management, communication. I also do coaching, happiness coaching online now, of course. I also teach Tai Chi on the beach. I have not started up classes again, but we'll be doing that soon. I have a DVD you can download with a 28-minute moving meditation. That's 4. And then my show is, take my advice, I'm not using it. I have 6. I also do freelance beat reporting. So if you see clips on the local news, half of them are mine. So I freelance for a New York news agency, and they promote the clips to local news. So I'm on CBS, KTLA, Fox News when you see a story with video B-roll, and you'll know it's mine because the good stories that talk about what's good about the world, I then put on my show.
Okay.
So that's 6. I have to amend that.
Wonderful.
So I really don't think there's anything else. I'm doing
Doesn't
everything
sound like
that
it.
I wanted to.
Maybe an astronaut.
Yeah, I like
it all
her.
covered.
I like it. Yeah. But I love being a mom.
Yeah.
Being a mom is my absolute favorite job in the world. I have 2 beautiful daughters, Chloe May and Sarah Way. Single mom, and happy about that. And they're beautiful, absolutely wonderful human beings.
Yes.
Grandkids?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have a grand dog son. I babysat for a week.
Cool.
Yeah,
That counts.
Very cute.
That counts.
So,
I
yeah,
have one.
yeah. No, there's still one finished Cornell University during the pandemic. The other one's last year at UC Davis. So they're on their way.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being our leading lady this week and joining us and sharing your experiences with us. And thank you, Dr. Marissa. And did you want to leave any of your social medias or how people can find you or book you for a show?
Thank you. Just Google Dr. Marissa and everywhere. Instagram, Doc Balance, everywhere else, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook profile, Facebook page, Dr. Marissa or Dr. Marissa Pei. Amazon, I told you about. I have a 21-day fast from complaining that you can join as well if you want to kickstart your positiveness in life. 21 days without complaining. If you donate $21 to my nonprofit, if you're able to do 21 consecutive days, then I double your money and give you $42 back. So that's a little fun thing. But
wow.
please do come on the show. Free subscribe on my YouTube channel. If you do nothing else, that's what you do. Because it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for being on here with us.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
And until next time, everyone, continue leading, ladies.
Continue to be the leading ladies that make the world positive.